I would get his paper back a couple days later, and every problem would be counted wrong. And I would call the teacher, and I asked, how is this possible? I know the answers are right. And I was told, oh, no. It's not about the answers anymore, it's about the process. You have to show the right process to get credit. And so my journey began. And I would go to football games and say, does anybody else think this is crazy? Does anybody else know how to do the math? And the math is what really started it for me, because the teacher would look at my son and say, he would go and do it the old-fashioned way, which was a standard algorithm, and he would do it and be working it. And one day the teacher came to him and said, do you want to do it the old-fashioned way, or do you want to do it the right way? Well, what I learned is that questions aren't allowed. I would go to the school board, and I would ask questions. And I said, being the head football coach's wife, everyone knows who I am, and so I just wanted answers. I thought that was reasonable. I mean, they're entrusted to my children, but quickly I learned that questions aren't allowed, and I was painted into a corner with a very narrow brush. I was considered public enemy #1, but never got any answers. At the time, what I was facing was Common Core, but I had no idea. About a year ago is when I realized what it was called. Desi needs money now for Common Core. So it has a name, so we know what it's called. And let me tell you what it kind of looks like to parents. I've been hearing parent stories all over the state, hearing stories from school board members, from taxpayers, but mostly parents, a lot of moms. But this particular problem, there are a couple, and this one says, Common Core, Jack has a cat and Jill has a pail of water. If Billy has $5, how many figs will his dog eat? Write your constructor response using the bar graph. I know it sounds crazy, and for those of you that have no kids in school, you just look at me like, okay, you have 3 eyes. You know, this is impossible. The next one, every time I see a math word problem, it looks like this. If I have 10 ice cubes and you have 11 apples, how many pancakes will fit on the roof? Answer, purple. Because aliens don't wear hats. Now, you may get credit for that with the new math. As crazy as it sounds, as long as you write a sentence that makes any sense at all. But I will tell you this, in doing research, and I've done a lot, what I realize is we're sold on the idea of standards. But I'm going to start my talk tonight. Bill Gates, and I won't get into him, we don't have time. I don't have a whole lot of time here in front of you. But one thing they keep talking about, it's standards. It's standards. It's just standards. The fact is, when you listen to the words of the people who have the most invested, you learn the most. And when Bill Gates is willing to tell you, identifying the common standards is just the starting point. He said, we will only know if the effort has succeeded when the curriculum and the tests are aligned to the standards. Know this. Is it strange to anyone that we've been seeing the standards implemented over the last 3+ years, but we've never seen the test? It's not until, so I want you to watch this video of him in his own words and just get an idea of really where we're headed.
In terms of standards, the state-led Common Core State Standards Initiative is developing clear, rigorous standards that will match the best in the world. Last month, 46 governors and chief state school officers made a public commitment to embrace those standards. This is encouraging, but identifying common standards is just the starting point. We'll only know if this effort has succeeded when the curriculum and tests are aligned to these standards. Secretary Arne Duncan recently announced that $350 million of the stimulus package will be used to create just these kinds of tests. Next generation assessments aligned to the Common Core. When the tests are aligned to the common standards, the curriculum will line up as well. And it will unleash a powerful market of people providing services for better teaching. For the first time, there'll be a large uniform base of customers looking at using products that can help every kid learn and every teacher get better. Imagine having the people who create great online video games applying their intelligence to online tools that pull kids in and make algebra and other subjects fun.
If you understand what he just said, what's about to come will be the test. Not until we see the test will we truly understand. Every teacher I know, and I know a lot of them, will tell you it's a no-brainer. You teach what the test to the test, but we've not seen the test. Once that test is in place, when they're all saying over here, look at this hand, look at this hand, they're getting ready to hit you with a shovel on the back end because the test will really dictate the standards. So I just want to keep that in front of you as I go forward at a pretty rapid rate tonight. They talk about it's only math and ELA standards. Remember the hand over here? It's just math and English. Don't worry about the science and history. We're not touching that, is what they say. But as a mom who's been willing to do my research, is it really just about a set of standards? I'll show you in a brief amount of time it's not. I want to talk to you about informational text, and I'm going to teach you, when you go to the website corestandards.org, has anybody heard the term informational text when they're talking about core standards? Okay? What we'll do is talk about, that's what I'm here tonight for, informational text. They have a role in the ELA and math standards that isn't pretty, and I'll show you what that is from a parent's perspective. As we get started, too, what I just want you to know is that as Governor Nixon gets ready to come to your area, I guess, in a week and promote the Common Core standards, this saying, I think, pretty much fits because you're getting aggressive in learning, and that's dangerous when you know too much because knowledge is power. But it says if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such a time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, and or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all its powers to repress dissent. For the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. That was a quote from Adolf Hitler's Minister of Propaganda. Know this, find the truth for yourself. After tonight, don't take my word for it or anybody else's word for it. But I hope what I do and Mary does for you is we spur you to take notes, watch the video of this, and find your truth. The CC, Common Core State Standards, CCSS, does advocate an increase in informational text. That seems pretty benign. They say, but it expects that increase to be primarily shared by teachers of other subjects, primarily science and history and math. So when we're seeing our little kids bring home all these word problems, technically that's an overlap into teaching them how to read and write. When your child can't do a simple math problem using numbers anymore, but they have to write a full paragraph to get credit, that's the English language arts bridging into the math, okay? This is my picture of the hand, just to give it impact with the shovel about to hit you on the other side. That's supposed to be symbolic of your standards over here. But the test is where the real, and that there's a whole other topic on that, how it'll relate to teachers, but we don't have time. In California, they're 2 years ahead of us with their standards, their Common Core standards, because they got Race to the Top money. And a history teacher from her blog actually recently spelled out that they saw the Smarter Balanced Consortium, which is who does our assessment testing. And with the assessments for grades 3 through 11, it was based on 11 different texts. Of these 11 texts, now get this, 2 were scientific, 4 were historical or governmental, 3 were news stories about social issues, and 2 were from issues emerging from technology. Only 2 texts were explicitly literary. So when you understand, when you go to the English Language Arts section of corestandards.org, this is what will pop up. You'll see on the left side, reading informational text. Do you see that little on the sidebar? Well, when you see that, notice what's strange. It says history, social studies. But wait, I thought we're only teaching English and math, right? They're the informational texts. So I want you to get that, because it's kind of the dirty little secret that's happening. We don't even have history standards set for this, or that we've actually implemented, but without standards, we're infusing it through these subjective informational texts.